Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever and whenever you happen to be watching this Risco in Tokyo, coming at you with a brand new year of Little Bite-Sized Planet. And since it's a brand new year, I thought we'd start things off kind of special with a bang. We're going to be taking a pretty chunky look at Chronos 453's pretty chunky and phenomenal adventure, Chapter 0, published 2016, a full 7 years ago. Now, since it is an adventure, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be spending about 3 minutes in each of the playable bits before we come back here to the hub to break it down like we usually do, talk about where it went right and where it went wrong and all of that hullabaloo. But it is going to be a pretty big episode, so why don't you get yourself settled in, make yourself some popcorn, maybe make a sandwich and get some drinks, and chill out and relax with us for the next hour or so, and let's get it going. See yas! Alright, so here we are in personal reality. This is the hub world of the Chapter 0 adventure, and I figured since I had to replay one of the episodes because I screwed up my recording, I could at least do a little bit of running around here. Now this is after we've unlocked... That's on me. This is after we've unlocked everything, so we've got all the abilities. Normally this would be a lot more difficult to traverse, to navigate, but we can do like all the climbing now, so it's pretty simple to get along through that perspective. But something that I really liked, we saw it. I'll try to get to the water section to show you that one as well. The way that Chronos will flash up the episode that you're going to be visiting when you get to those doorway bits, and I think it looks really cool. It's a really neat effect, and I'd like to try to get to one of those before... Oh, darn it! Got ourselves killed. Oh, that's where we gotta get on that. See, I get lost like so easily, just in real life too. Normally it's not a problem in real life because if you go down the wrong alley, like, you don't just get immediately killed by like a kill tweaker. You usually you'll get killed by like a monster. I mean, like, as in a gribbler, not like a person who is a monster. That would be a really weird way to put that. This whole bit, like, let's just cancel this whole bit. But the point is that I do get lost really easily. But I love how Chronos puts those episode foreshadowings on the actual personal reality map. It's a really cool effect, and it's really well realized. Now, one thing that I did find about personal reality that it's a little bit of an issue is that it's really hard for me to get to the ruins section, and I screw it up like every single time. You gotta drop down there, and it's not like once you know it's there, it's not like really a big issue, but I would always just screw it up. It's so embarrassing. I want to show you ruins because, like, it looks so pretty. Look at this. Look at this. It's so pretty. Chronos did such a job with all the presentation throughout Chapter 0 is just... It's so chef's kiss, and I want Chronos to have like all of the confidence in the world, because he's just got I don't want to say a knack, because a knack feels like it's not something that's being improved through practice and skill, and I think that Chronos has definitely improved his ability through practice and like training himself in what he does. And you can see the improvement in like his art that he posts sometimes on the Twitters, which I can't look at because I don't have Twitter anymore, but he does share it with me through DMs, and like, it's not just native talent. Like, all of this stuff is stuff that you have to put effort into getting better at, and I think that Chronos has taken whatever native ability that he does have and has really burnished it and brushed it up, and like, it's so good. It's so good. This is so good. But that was our 3 minutes, and I don't know where I'm going to put this in the editing process, but we're going to go someplace after this. Maybe the takeaway section. Who knows? I don't know. See yas! Alright, so here we are in episode 0.1. Sorry, it took me by surprise. And you'll notice, so like, we don't have the ability to jump yet. So the conceit of these levels is that we are going to be learning the basic abilities of the sack thing as we're traveling along. So the level has to be... Oh, fudge. Okay, that was on me. The level has to be built around the fact that sack thing doesn't have what you're trying to unlock quite yet. I just love... This level's maybe my favorite, but they're all kind of my favorite. But this one I like a lot. The mixture of the wood and that kind of crumply rock material is so very nice. We've got these little enemies, and they'd be so easy to kill if only we could jump. One thing that I do have an issue with this level is that it took me the longest time to realize that dropping down is not the same as jumping, and I don't know why, okay? Like, I know that sounds silly, but it didn't track in my mind. For some reason, I thought that was a jump ability, so it took me a while to kind of figure out, oh, just drop down. Like, that's not jumping. That's not jumping at all. It's because, like, it uses the jump button is the problem. But look at this, it's such a nice looking level. We're going to be coming back to that area, not yet, once the ability's unlocked, but we're not going to see that in this play. All the little movements, like the incidental movement here, choice of lighting is so good, like, it's all so slick. Oh! See, I was pressed the jump button. That's on me. It's on me. It's totally on me. Everything's like all timed. It's all synchronized. It's beautiful. It's a work of art, and that's not even joking. Like, this is a work of art. This whole Chapter 0 experience. I'm really excited to be starting the new year with this, bringing it to you. Even though it's not new. I mean, this has been out for a while, since like 2016? Is that right? I'm gonna have to check. Like, oh fudge, we're missing that. I knew we were gonna miss that. 2016, November 18th, 2016. Or is it November 16th, 2018? It's definitely 2016. Anyways, this is the part of the level that I do struggle with the most. I really want to ace these levels, and it's not gonna happen. I mean, it's not gonna happen on this run, but that's okay. It's okay. It's okay, it's nothing to stress about. Just enjoy the beauty of figuring out our stuff, of learning new things as we go along. Oh, fudge! That's our time. We're going to be going back to, well, no, we're not going back anywhere. We're going to go to episode 0.2, and we'll see you in just a moment. See yas! Alright, so here we are in chapter 2, and apparently I didn't have my headphones plugged in when I recorded it the first time. Luckily this is not a first impression, so that's not like a big deal, but I am gonna have to play it as though I don't have the ability to swim, and that's kind of, you know, like, at least I'm being upfront with you that is a thing, but I do kinda hate it. I'm gonna be honest with you, I kinda hate it. Where do we gotta go? If we can't swim, okay, we gotta go over here. Like the way that the sand dunes drop down, I complain a little bit about this level's presentation, and I've done it in the past because I'm not like a big fan of this wood at this size. I kind of think it's a bit like, I don't not like the wood material here, but I feel like it doesn't play well with being as big as it is. But I do like the gameplay of the level a lot. Oh shoot! Oh well, I would have died there. Okay, that would have killed me. I would have died. Crumbs. Sorry about that. Well, we know that I've got the ability to swim. I'm just trying to not swim because I want to give you the experience, the flavor of it, not being able to swim. But yeah, where was I going with this? I don't know. I really, oh god, I hate it. I hate me for screwing up the recording the first time. I really like the way that those gameplay elements get reused throughout the level, and that when you can't swim, that you do actually need them to be following you along. I think it's really neat the way that you got the triggers where you got like the little blue bits that we're standing on here, and when they go in front of the panels in the walls there, that they trigger the effect that's going to be happening. Like, all of that is really, really cool. And the setup for this must have been a lot to make sure that things were sitting in the right place and that they weren't like overly buoyant. They weren't overly buoyant. I don't know why I said it like that. Love the little bit in the background there. Something I mention, or I will mention, because I'm recording this out of order, that I will mention is I really like the way that the space material is used throughout the levels here to kind of give an indication that this is all happening within that personal reality section, that these are all kind of like budded bits of reality. I think it's just a really, really neat effect, and it sells well the idea that Kronos is kind of putting forward here. Where do I go from this section? Oh, hi. I get lost like every time I play these levels, and I don't know why, because I've played these so many times. We've only got 9 seconds, 8 seconds left. Good on me. This was like actually a really good run, and we can at least get to the unlock bit. Well, almost the unlock bit. It's down there. Something else that I like that I don't know if I mentioned in the previous recording, but I like how you can kind of see the portal that you're supposed to be getting to throughout certain of these levels. You see it really well in episode 0.1, where it's kind of like rolling along in the background as you're going through. It's just really neat. There's so much really neat stuff here, but we are going to move on to chapter 0.3, and then we're going to talk about all this stuff in the takeaway, and, you know, see yas! Alright, so here we are in episode 3, finally, which may or may not make sense depending on how I set up my editing. And I think this is one of my favorites. It's hard to say, because like episode 1 I really love, and episode 2 is kind of iffy, and episode 3 is really great, so I guess, yeah, this is one of my favorites. How do I get past this? Every single time, I swear, every single time I get lost, and that's okay, but I do kind of want to move things along a little bit so we can see the second section. This bit, the ruins section, from which this episode gets its title. It's episode 03, Ruins. Oh, come on, get down there. It's kind of in 2 bits, where you've got this section here of the collapsed civilization, and then you've got kind of the floating ruins that we will visit in the second part, and hopefully we'll get to see that, but I don't know if we will, and that's okay. We can talk about it in the hub, but this is all really neat. Something I didn't notice, and I never noticed until I'm playing this with headphones on, is that you've got this like neat little staticky zoopy sound going on periodically in the music, and it's such a cool sound effect. It works with the music so very well. Like, just the presentation, yo. The presentation here is just top notch. So we've unlocked our bit. We're going to the clouds. Look at the legs. Look at the legs. Just wobbling around there. Like, I can't get my hips to do that in real life because I'm old, and old people don't have hips. I don't know if you're young, if you did not realize that, but old people, no hips. Episode 03. I love that it's like space randomly being in areas like that. You see it in episode 1 and 2 as well, and it's just like, it's such a neat little effect, because all of these are supposed to be like, they're adjuncts of the personal reality that we are in like the main hub area. So they're kind of like spun off developments from that, so the space bits are from there, and it's just like, it's so cool. All of this is so cool. Kronos did such a good job. The music choice in this level, top notch. The low grav, which usually I'm not a super big fan of low grav, but it works really well here. I don't know if I can convey amply with my voice and presentation how much I love Chapter 0. It's so good. I called it Chapter Z in like the last section, and that's not what it's... Z would be Z, and that's not it. It's Chapter 0, Chapter Naught. Now, one thing that did come up, and I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but the fact that wormhole usage and the organizer-atron... Oh, fudge! They're the same button, so it kind of screws up in episode 0.1. But we'll talk about that in the hub. I gotta get... we need a place where I can pause. Level, please, just give me a place where I can pause. Here we are. Good, this is perfect, it's beautiful. We're gonna go back to whatever comes after this. See yas! Alright, so here we are in Departure, and I don't know if we're gonna be able to beat this. It's not like a long gameplay section. This is the final, like, platforming bit of the game, but it is, like, very awkward. And I managed to just mess it up, like, every time, like that. Like, for some reason, that particular jump just screws me up every time, and I hate it. There's a particular trigger zone in there that I never managed to get, so I'm hoping that we can, because I don't want to spend too much time. Can we make it? Can we make it? We cannot make it. We cannot make it. It's a neat idea, and the idea of, like, getting some new abilities right at the very end is kind of cool, but I struggle so much with that jump, and it's so awkward. The number of times I had to record this for the archive is just absurd. Can we do it this time? Can we do it? Yes! Okay, good for us. Wonderful. I always forget, like, it's a little bit, like, where are you supposed to climb sometimes is a bit of a thing. Can I get up there? No, I can't. Oh, fudge. Oh, well, okay. Oh, great. Oh, so we're back here. Love it. Love it. I love this so much. I don't want to be, like, really negative, because, like, the whole experience of Chapter 0 is a fabulous experience, and I am super glad that Kronos has given it to the community, but this is just, like, this whole bit is not fun. It's not. It's the truth. I hate it, but it is true. Oh, crumbs. Sneeze! I've got the sneezes, and I do not like the sneezes. I do not like them at all. I am rushing a little bit, and that is probably not helping out matters, but, you know, you've only got 3 minutes, is the thing. What? Darn it! This is what happens. Like, rushing will kill you every time. Nope, not gonna make that jump. Nope! Rescope. You've already, like, wasted enough time. You don't have more time to waste. Oh, fudge! Clearly, we don't. Are we gonna make it? Yes! Alright, well, I guess we're gonna go back to... I don't know what comes after this, honestly. Because I'm not sure how I'm going to edit all these together, but we're going to go back to wherever we go, and we'll see you there. See yas! Alright, so here we are in the first of the bonus areas that we can unlock from episode 0.2. This is distortion and a lot of, like... I mean, the title is distortion and, like, question marks, and there's a lot going on in the title. But friends of the stream, folks who hang out in the empty room, may recognize this as an early demo of Demo, which is a demo of an adventure project that unfortunately did not get completed, but we do have 3 levels from that project, and they're really great, and it's kind of interesting to see how little has changed from this earliest build of what would become Demo to the actual, like, what levels that we have available to us now. There's, like, a lot in presentation is different, and the demo levels are much more nicely presented. There's a lot of, like, quality of life improvements in there, but the basic gameplay and flow of the levels is remarkably similar, and the enemy attacks and all of that are very much similar. So it feels like... Hi! I was gonna say it feels like coming home, but that's not... I don't know if that's really how it feels. You've got this mechanic where you can dodge. There's a mechanic where you could change your ship's colors to allow you to get extra health off of different colored shots. It's a very like Toho kind of thing. I'm not good at Danmaku. Like, I suck at Danmaku, but I do appreciate that these levels that Chronos has made make Danmaku fun for me. I feel like, I hope that's not like damning with faint praise or backhanded compliment or anything. The folks who are like Danmaku heads, bullet hell heads, might find this to be too easy, but I feel like it's just enough that it's challenging, and I still die in the demo levels, but I also feel like I could actually play them. The backgrounds in the levels here, they're coming from the different main episodes of Chapter 0, which is kind of cool as well, because we get a preview of what episode 0.3 is going to be looking like, and that's really, really neat. This whole bit is just super cool. It's a lot of fun. I can understand why it was tucked away to the side, because it doesn't really flow in with the level itself. Like, it doesn't really flow with what Chapter Z is trying to do, but it works really well for just a bit of gameplay element here. Oh my god, are we over time? We're not over time, but we almost are, but we're at the last boss, so you know what? Screw it. Let's kill this boss. This is a fun boss. I really enjoy it. I think a version of this shows up in one of the demo levels. I don't remember precisely offhand, but I do remember these attack patterns, and they're really just like, it's so good. Just look at this. This is so nifty. It's so much fun. I'm playing it poorly because I'm trying to be clever, and I'm also trying to talk at the same time, and that never works out for anybody. But I think, like, we're actually not doing a terrible job at it. Missed that shot. I haven't been using my rockets, and that's kind of a problem, because, like, you got these rockets. That's one issue that I have with these levels, and with, like, these types of levels in general, these types of games in general, is I always forget abilities that I have on hand, because there's just, like, there's only 4 things that you can do, and still that's just too much for my brain meats to comprehend and keep in one place, I guess. But that is distortion question mark underscore backslash. You can see it on the screen there. It's really, really nifty. I don't know where I'm going to tuck this in the little bite-sized planet episode, but it's in there. I've recorded it. It's really cool. I love this one. Yeah, but let's go to whatever's coming after this. Alright, so here we are in episode 0.1 parentheses 5. This is the closest thing to kind of a boss experience in the adventure. I had to pause it because it starts pretty much in media res. And what we're trying to do, we get these different platforming sections where we'll get the platformer bit randomly, and we're trying to get to a bit where we can break down the boss's hit points, and if we run out of HP, if we run out of points, we run out of HP. Hi, I can talk. Every time that we go into virus phase, we'll be losing points, I think like 1,000 points a second, or something like that. You lose a bunch of points. But you can see every time you grab onto one of these little... Oh, I gotta sneeze, I hate it. See my son! Sorry about that. Yeah, so every time you take damage, every time that something would happen that would kill you. Hi, I can talk. You'll start losing points. And if you get to 0 points, you die, and that's a problem. You don't want to die. Virus phase has been activated. We see that we're losing those 1,000 points every go. We can see how long our adversary phase lasts by the timer that's on the bottom there, and then the HP up on the top. It's very loud, but it's also very pretty. And every time you knock down enough of its bar, you get more of these chains that get destroyed. I don't know if we'll see all of the sections. I think maybe we will. I can't remember how many actual gameplay sections, like platform bits that we have. Oh crap, oh no, we're in virus phase. Okay, that was actually a lot quicker than I thought it was going to be. I thought we were going to lose a lot more points. Now, originally, Kronos has actually fixed this, but originally this was broken where, I can't remember, like once virus phase started, you just kept on continually losing points or something. There was some reason that it was almost uncompletable in the original build, but it is perfectly functional now. It can be defeated. You can do it. Although it's a bit tricky. It does go on, and you could make some arguments that it's a little bit overlong. I would not make those arguments. I think that it is a perfect length experience, but I can understand how some might. Now, I wonder if those are hazardous. I'm not going to touch them. I don't want to find out. Also, like, how much time do we have? Oh my god, we've only got 14 seconds. We're not going to beat this. At least not here, not now, but that's okay. That's okay, because I have beaten this before, is the thing. Oh, and that's our time. We got to go back to the hub. I'm going to pause it so I don't lose too much time. And we'll see it with whatever comes after this section. I'm not entirely sure yet. See ya! Alright, so here we are in episode 0.03 discarded version. And this is an earlier build of episode 0.3 that Kronos, well, discarded. Decided that wasn't quite what he wanted for this adventure. Normally we wouldn't have the grab ability at that point. We got that because this is, you know, we've already done that section. We would have had to get this unlocked. This is unlocked from, hello. This is unlocked from the episode 0.1.5. 0.1, not 5. I don't know. You know the thing. You know what I'm trying to say. But normally we wouldn't have had the climbing ability there. Now, one thing that Kronos did mention to me when we were talking, and I definitely agree with this assessment, is that while the presentation and material choices are interesting, and I think they're pretty cool, they don't necessarily fit with the feel of the rest of like Chapter 0. It's a lot gaudier, it's a lot brighter. That's not what we want, because that's gonna kill us. Well done, Risco. So like it's a lot brighter, it's a lot like shinier, and it's just like in Chapter 0 it's got such like a chill vibe to it. It's not, I don't want to say it's drab, because it's 100% not drab, but like it's not shiny, it's not bright in the way that this is. And so I could definitely see how this would be kind of for the mood of what the level and what the adventure is trying to do. This wouldn't really fit in with that. So I do think that from that aspect that it was a good choice. It is a bit of a shame though, because like I do like the hazard aspects of this level. I think that they're really neat. So it would have been, I don't know, like I don't think that you could have worked in the flame and have it fit thematically, but I do think like it is pretty nifty. Why did I die there? I think I was supposed to go into the background, but I just did not. It happens sometimes. You know, these things. Yeah, okay. I don't know what just LBP things, you know? But it's still really neat, and I'm really glad that Kronos made these available, like kept these available to the players. We could kind of see where his thought process was along the lines of like during the creation of the level. This is actually kind of cool. Oh, crumbs. Okay, well, in each. We'll pause the timer, but I will talk a little bit here. I think that this is a good place to talk. So, in each of the episodes, and you're going to unlock these abilities that you will be using elsewhere and that you'll be using in LBP, because like the whole idea here with Chapter 0 is this is like pre-LBP. So you get your jumping and your grabbing, and you get swimming and you get climbing, and we'll talk about that aspect of it a little bit later in the takeaway section. But so you do the platforming bits that we've seen so far in these kind of secondary impression plays that I've been doing, and then you'd come here into kind of the backstage of personal reality, the hub world, and that gives you the actual section that you unlock your ability. It's all really neat. It's all very, very well realized. But we're going to go on to the discarded version of episode 0.1 (5). So we're going to talk about that. We'll go right over there. So see ya. Alright, so here we are in the discarded version of 0.1.5, and well, first I had to warn people, it's going to be pretty blinky. It's a very blinky level. It's not as bad as it could be, but it's kind of a lot. I'm so glad that Kronos decided not to go with this version, because this is honestly pretty miserable. And Kronos also recognized that this is not really very fun. So it's same idea as previously. You're trying to get to the adversary realm. You're trying to keep as many points as you can, so that you don't. Because if you get to 0 points, you die. But you've got a lot more things that are trying to take points away from you. Whereas in the actual version of the level, and it's just like hazards, things that would have killed you. Normally would take away points, so things like spikes and things, whatnot like that. I don't know, I can't talk, because I'm just, it's not talking. Here, every one of these shots, it's like a little Danmaku, and they all will take away points, and you got the purple bits are chasing you, and everything is just such a pain in the butt. This is not as the kids would say, it's not lit. Would the kids say that? I don't even know. What do kids say anymore? Is lit still a phrase that kids use? Probably not, right? That's not no kid is saying this is lit anymore. But it's the idea is interesting. It's just way too busy. And especially considering what kind of gameplay skills you're generally expected to do in Chapter 0. Why CZ? I don't even know. Considering the type of gameplay skills you're expected to bring to the table in Chapter 0, up to this point, and it's just really, I feel like asking too much from the players. But like I said, Kronos also felt that way, and ended up doing a complete reworking of all of this for the actual, 0.1 (5). I don't know how to say that. It's a weird naming convention. 0.15 and a half? 0.1 half? No, that doesn't work either. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say, folks. But this is pretty much it. You've just got those 3 sections, and they it's just wow, look at all these things that are trying to take away your points. They're also rude. They're also very, very rude. I think there's a way to cheat this, but I don't remember how to do it now, and I just don't feel like finding out. Hopefully the timer's gonna ring soon, because, oh, there we go! Perfect timing, because I'm just about done with all of this. But to wrap it up, even if you kill the adversary realm in this version, if the ending is not implemented, so it doesn't end. You just have to do this forever until you get bored of it, and then you just say, okay, I'm kind of done. And we're kind of done, so we're going to move on to whatever it is that I've got. Maybe after this is the takeaway. I haven't edited these together. I'm obviously just recording them right now, so wherever we're going, let's go. See yas! And we're back, and Chapter 0 by Kronos 453, and we can't see the grading yet, but I don't think it's gonna surprise anyone that I think that it is a green circle. It's a remarkable bit of work. There are absolutely some parts of it that could be discussed, some things that perhaps could have been done better, but taken as a whole, and I think it's really, really impressive, and I think it's really, really special of what Kronos is trying to say with this adventure, with this story, and what can be done in LBP with the adventure mechanic. It's something that I don't see a lot of creators using, and that's a real shame because I think you could do pretty interesting things with this, telling stories that are kind of supported by each level within each piece of the adventure to make a broader overarching theme. And I think that for the most part, Chapter 0 does do that pretty well. There are some aspects of it that perhaps don't quite support things as well as they could, but like I say, that I think that the story that it's telling is important. It's emotionally resonant. It was for me, and I think it would be for a lot of players, and it's just generally like really fun and really beautifully presented. Chronos, on that aspect of it, and I know presentation is something that I do tend to focus on a lot, quite possibly over much, but I do think the presentation in this adventure is absolutely top-notch. Even in episode 0.2, which is the one that I kind of rag on, and maybe a little bit unfairly, because while I do believe that material doesn't quite look as good as it could at that scale, like, I do think it's an appropriate choice for what that level is. You've got like those warped boards and they look really waterlogged, and this is the level where we're going to be unlocking swimming, and like so it does fit. And you've got all those like little touches in the level as well. The gold flake, the gold leaf for the material for the sensors that are going to tell the water to be going up and down, the way that the light up bits when they are in front of the sensors and everything lights up, like all of that's really cool. So even episode 0.2 is not a bad level from the standpoint of presentation, even if it doesn't quite hit the high notes, the high marks of episode 0.1 and episode 0.3, which are both absolutely fantastic. I love the chunky concrete and the wood that's in episode 0.1. It's got the moving bits that I just absolutely adore. Episode 0.3, where you've got that early ruins section that's clearly inspired by, but is not just stealing from, Journey, and I think that Chronos does an excellent job with that. And then taking us up into the sky section, and you've got those floating islands, and the islands in the sky from the very beginning of my reviews. If you could go back in time and watch some of my really old material, and I just gush over sky islands, I always will love them, and they're presented so well here. But not only just in visual presentation, the music choices are spot on throughout the entire adventure. They are absolutely fabulous. Sound design as well. Chronos has got a real knack for sound design. It's something that he enjoys as a creator. He's talked a lot about on stream how much he gets out of that, and I think that it's really shown off in this adventure because it's great. It's spot on throughout, and some really big flourishes as well. In the personal reality section, there's that hub. It's personal reality is our hub that we're going to be using to get to the different episodes in the Chapter 0, and as you play through the episodes and you unlock the bits, when you go in front of their doors a second time, and it puts that preview up in the background of what that world looks like, and it is such a cool technique, and it looks so absolutely great, and it's like big and bold and in your face, and I just love it to pieces. So like, top to bottom, I really enjoyed the presentation in this adventure. Something that Chronos talked about in DMs with me, because I asked a little bit like, you know, are there things that you would have changed in Chapter 0 if you could do it again? And he talked a little bit about being a touch disappointed with the visuals in the Revelations section, which is one of the longer movie bits towards the end, where they're kind of telling you what exactly is going on and who you are in the context of the story. And I do, and to some degree, I see where Chronos is coming from there, because it is very like LBP, but I think that it serves to illustrate what's being told to the player at that time very well. It's got a cuteness of it, a cuteness to it, but it's not like overly cute, it's not overly twee, and I think that even that really works quite well, although maybe doesn't quite nail like the tone of the other pieces. I can see that, but I still do like it. And kind of thinking about the mismatching tones and something that was given to us in this adventure, Kronos lets us unlock some bonus content in discarded bits that were early builds of levels that eventually were, given over to what we see in the adventure proper itself. And the discarded bit for episode 0.3, and it's really interesting because it's very, very cool looking. Like, I like it a lot, but it's kind of like overly gaudy and overly poppy for how the rest of the levels feel, where the rest of the levels feel like very sparse. Not drab. I think I used drab in one of the impressions sections, and that's not really the word I think that fits best here. But sparse is where there's this feeling of semi-emptiness to the levels, and there's only what's in the levels what actually needs to be there. And they're not drab. Like 0.3 is not a drab level. It's got some really great color work in it, but it does have that feeling of emptiness that I think the poppiness of the discarded version kind of would have taken away from. So very interesting how like all of these bits do, like, they feel of a piece even though the environments are quite separate. Like the environment of 0.1 is quite different from 0.2 and is quite different from 0.3 and is quite different from Personal Reality and Departure, which are both the same environment. They're taking place in the same kind of spots, so that part makes sense. But that they all do have distinctness to them, and yet you can see how they would tie together. You can see why that they are all together in this adventure. Like, that is all really, really cool. But not just to focus on the presentation, and which I do think is the strongest point, but coming into like mechanics and how those support the themes of the level. And that I do think is where Chapter 0 runs into some issues, particularly in 0.2 and Departure. Whereas, so the idea here is that we're building ourselves up because this is the prelude to LBP, where we'll have all these basic abilities at our disposal when we're playing the real game and when we're getting ready to make our mark, like on the world in Craft World, in the Imagisphere. But prior to that, and we're still kind of half formed, and so each of the levels is designed around, well, you don't have this basic ability to start, and how does that complicate your journey through the level, and how is the level being designed to allow you to move through it, and then how does that all change once you've got this bit unlocked. And it's a really interesting concept. It's a really cool concept that I think on the granular aspect, like on the per episode basis, that it's really, really well done. Like, particularly, I think we see it quite strongly in episode 0.1 because jumping is such a basic mechanic. It is so omnipresent. Even when it's not required, oftentimes we'll find ourselves jumping just to kind of speed things along, and just because it's interesting to do, it's kind of fun to do. And so having that locked off from you makes a huge impact on how you engage with the environment, how you engage with the world, and how Kronos has set this up to allow you to move pretty smoothly throughout the level is really, really cool. It's really, really impressive, and it is a lot of fun. Like, I absolutely love it. In episode 0.3, and climbing is to a lesser extent, because climbing has to be implemented by the creator. So while it is a basic ability, you've got to have some climbing stuff in there, or else, well, you're not gonna be climbing. So there are distinct climbing sections in a way where jumping is indistinct. But still, you see how when you don't have the climbing, you've got to do these really long, walk-arounds and engage with the entirety of the level, and then once you do have the climbing, you can kind of just shortcut with the climbing bits that are on there. And then we see both of those things that are reflected in personal reality, where there's areas of personal reality that are locked off because you can't do climbing yet, or you can't do jumping yet, and then once you can, and then you can engage with those bits. And like, that is really, really cool, and I really, really appreciate it, because it all ties into this idea that you are building yourself up and you are unlocking more things that you can do, and more ways that you can engage with the environment and engage with the world, and that's super cool. But then we get to 0.2 and it's swimming, and like, the issue with swimming is that like, levels that make use of swimming have to be designed with that in mind. Like, there need to be like fairly chunky sections with water included, and all the building has to go around that. You can't just like flip it on and off. And while we see how that works when you don't have swimming, and I think that that's really great. Like, I like the way that Chronos has handled that section of the level, where you've got those platforms that are kind of not exactly following you along, but when you're raising and lowering the water levels, and it's moving those platform bits into new areas where you can engage them to keep yourself out of the water, like, all of that is really, really cool. And from a gameplay standpoint, like, I love episode 0.2, but then you can't really bring that mechanic into personal reality. Like, you would need to design a fairly significant portion of personal reality to work with that in mind. And then you've got the fact that there's like water in that space, where that space really doesn't feel environmentally and thematically like it would support water. So what happens is the choice that Chronos made is just to not have the water in there, which is fine in a sense, because like, honestly, while the swimming aspects in 0.2 are really cool, and I do like that level, I think Chronos has done a really great job with it, it's really hard to do like large sections of swimming gameplay and have them actually feel fun. The swimming tends to slow down momentum of levels just so much to me that a lot of times I just get kind of bored with it. So I can totally see why that, you know, that was left off. But then you've got this kind of gap in the thematics. You've got this gap in where, like, in that section, it is playing to the story of the adventure, but it's never gone back to. And so it doesn't allow that mechanic to kind of reinforce what's being told with the story. And I did talk with Chronos in the DMs, like, if you had to do it again, if you could do it again, like, would you maybe split the jumping and grabbing into 2 separate episodes and then leave swimming out entirely? And he did agree with that and felt that maybe that would have been a better way to approach it. But then we wouldn't have gotten 0.2, and I do really like 0.2 an awful lot. So, you know, there's that. You know, would we have gotten 0.2 if Chronos had gone with a more thematically supportive level, and perhaps not. So these are the things that we pay. Now, I did mention that departure is also an issue with how departure interacts with the themes of the level, and also just how departure feels mechanically, like engaging with it as a player. And I do think of the levels, departure is absolutely the weakest one. So you get into it, and personal reality is falling apart, and like, presentation wise, departure does a really great job of selling that, where you know, bits are hitting other bits and everything is breaking apart and the screen shakes, and like, you've got this drive that's pushing you forward throughout the level to finally achieve your goal, to finally get to the light and to join the world, and you know, this one last push, and all of that like works really well, and I love that aspect of it. The problem is that the you know, the omnipresent narrator, and I love the narrator, okay? Kronos kind of rags on himself for the writing in Chapter 0, but I really enjoyed it. I think the narrator's got this kind of downplayed sense of humor that I think really works for me. I think it really works for the level. So, like, I don't have any complaints about that. But the narrator's like, well, we decided to give you these couple of new abilities to kind of hurry you along in this last stage of things, and mechanically, just like as a player engaging with the level, and they're really, really awkward. Not so much the double jump. That's like pretty easy to use. It's a double jump and it looks pretty nice. But the slowdown with R2, and particularly in that first section where you practice, and it's like there's this jump and you've got to engage the R2 at like the perfect time to give yourself enough momentum to actually fly over that gap. And it's really, really fiddly. It's really, really tricky. And it just completely kills the momentum of that bit where you want the player to be moving quickly. You want the player to be running along and feeling like they're in danger because personal reality is collapsing, and then they get stuck in this tutorial section that like just got to repeat it over and over and over again, and it does like deflate what's being done there, and that is a bit of a shame. And then the secondary issue there is that you're getting these abilities that are not basic abilities to the SAC thing. They're things that a creator would have to specifically logic out and put into them, and wouldn't be available, and were not available in like the base game of things. And so it's kind of moving away from the thematics of Chapter 0, where it's building you up into the SAC thing that we know and love, and that is a bit of a shame. And I feel like if there's any place in the adventure that does kind of fall down, it is in Departure. But like overall, I just love it to pieces. I don't have a lot of time left because I think I've only got like 60 minutes on Share Factory for a file. So to kind of wrap things up, the bonus kind of boss level is something that Kronos said also he would have liked to have reworked, but I've really enjoyed that mechanic where you get into the adversary zone and you're kind of like running around after these little bits, and you got to grab them, and it's going to take away the adversary's HP, and then you're going to move along with your life until you've destroyed all of it. Like all of that just is presented so great, and when enough HP has been depleted, and then you've got like the You've got like the conveyor bits that are kind of like bindings and chains, and they break apart, and then you're riding that elevator in the end, and you got those last little bits that you're grabbing to break apart the last little bindings, and it's so cool. It's so neat. You've also got the demo of Demo that's unlocked, and Demo, that series of levels, or a demo more appropriately, is I think one of my favorite things in all of LBP3. It's such a great little bit of side-scrolling shooter. It's absolutely gorgeous looking. Sound design is perfect. Music choices are perfect. Like, it's something that I wish Kronos had the opportunity to actually make it into an entire adventure, which was the original plan, but unfortunately that just didn't work out to be the case, and these things sometimes happen. But we at least have 3 levels of Demo that are playable, and they're so good. I love them to pieces, and we get to play a demo of Demo in this. And it's very interesting how like little has changed in the basic gameplay of the level, where you do have, I got stuck, where you do have presentation changes, you do have quality of life changes, but basically like Demo is the demo of Demo is what Demo is, and it's so cool. It's so well done. It's so very interesting. Discarded bit of chapter 0.1 parentheses 5, not great. Glad Kronos didn't go with that idea. It's way too busy for what's being done. It's too frustrating getting away from the homing purple bits, and it's just like you can't really appreciate the environment, and the environment in what we got in the main bit is beautiful, is gorgeous. I love it, but you can't focus on any of it in the discarded version because there's just so many things that are happening all at once, and like you've got to focus on where you are and what you're doing. So I'm glad that we got the version that we got. I love all of this. It's so interesting to me the way that this the story of it just really affected me deeply. I don't think Kronos intended any kind of trans reading into this, and I think that trans readings are easy to find in stories that are about building yourself and like coming into terms as a person, coming from a place where you're like partially formed, you're not quite what you're supposed to be, and going on this journey, often a quite difficult journey, to make of yourself something. And like, yeah, that is a broadly applicable story. It's something that everybody goes through in their lives as they're moving from childhood to adulthood. It's something that creatives will go through as they move from just like, what is your natural ability in, say, drawing or singing or whatever, and then you have to go through the journey of like actually practicing, actually building those skills so that you can, you know, take your place on the stage as a creator and really show people what's in your heart. Like, it is a story that applies in a lot of different points, but I tell you, like, as a trans woman, it does hit a little bit different. And it's interesting to me that even in the before, like even before I had any idea of like who I was, and playing this at that time, and I got to Revelations, and like it made me tear up, and I didn't know why. There's only one other level in LBP that's ever done that for me, and that's Rain. And like it's interesting that thematically there's similarities there as well, where Rain's got this feeling of like emptiness and desolation, but it's kind of like the emptiness of an ending. It's the emptiness of a wake, of saying goodbye to something, whereas Chapter 0 is almost like the emptiness of anticipation. You're not out in the world yet. You know, you are in your shell. You are building yourself up to take your place on the world, and here is the breath. Here is the pause, where it's just you and your struggle. And then when you get to the end and you step out, and there's an emotional resonance between those levels and between those ideas that I just absolutely love. And I think the fact that Kronos was able to nail that, I would forgive another 3 or 4 departures to get that experience. But I'm glad that we've only got the one departure. If there's, like I said, if there's one thing I think really needs fixing in Chapter 0, I think even beyond just like the swimming and how that plays into things, I think a redo of departure would I think that would be for the best. But yo, if you haven't played Chapter 0, it's probably, I would say, and this is a very generous estimate, but it might be like an hour of play altogether. And it's interesting, like, the density of what we're able to do and what we're forced to do in LittleBigPlanet. Whereas, like, if you said, like, an hour of play on a Steam game, or if you said an hour of play on, like, an indie game that you picked up for your Switch, and it'd be like, an hour? Yo, what's that? Like, that's nothing. That's not a game. But then, like, an hour of play with what Kronos has done here in LBP, and it's like, it's so impactful, it's so dense, it's so good. I love it to absolute pieces. I could gush about this. There's bits I have not even had the chance to say, but I've got to wrap things up, because you can see the clock is getting closer and closer to 1 hour, and if we get to an hour, then everything explodes and I turn into a pumpkin, and wouldn't that suck? So yeah, gonna have to let you go. From me, Disco, here in Tokyo, to all of you out there, wherever you may happen to be, thank you, arigato, arigato, sayonara, see you, and ciao. Play Chapter 0!